नहीं ले रहे, 1 मिनट। हाँ अभी, हाँ ठीक है ठीक है, 1 मिनट अरे। हेलो, अभी आ रहा है क्या मेरा आवाज? हाँ इस क्या? आ गया ना? ठीक है ठीक है। Okay, okay. So today in this class, we are going to discuss the previous questions of musculoskeletal system. ठीक है? Good evening all. Yeah. So the first question is, in muscle contraction, all are true except. तो मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन में इसमें से कौन सी गलत है? बता दीजिए आंसर्स चार्ट में। So we will see A band remains unchanged, ऐसा ही है। H zone disappears, अगले स्लाइड में फिर मैं एक्सप्लेन करूंगा। H zone ये भी सही है। Two Z lines becomes closer, this is also right. I band becomes wider, so this statement is wrong. In fact, I band becomes sharper, not wider. So पहले हमको ये मालूम होना चाहिए कि ये बन क्या होता है, H, A and Z lines. So what they indicate? First we should understand the basic concepts which are involved in the muscle contraction. ठीक है? Yeah. So now we see the components of the sarcomere. So you can see these are the components of sarcomere. The first Z band, Z disc or Z band. So this will represents one sarcomere, which indicates that these are the repetitive structural units present in the myofibril. Okay. So these are the narrow plate shaped dense material that separate one sarcomere from the next sarcomere. मतलब इसके बाद और एक sarcomere रहेगा, उसके बाद और एक sarcomere रहेगा, मतलब ये repetitive units है, ठीक है? So which denotes the one sarcomere. So in between these two Z disc, the entire area उसी को हम एक sarcomere बोलते हैं, ठीक है? Then A bands. So as you know that there will be a darker band and lighter bands alternate with each other. Okay. So A band, this A band contains entire length of thick band. उसी को हम thick filament को myosin कहते हैं, light filament को actin कहते हैं, या thin filament को हम actin कहते हैं. ठीक है. So A band contains entire length of myosin and it also includes some overlap with actin. यहाँ पे थोड़ा overlap भी होता है. ठीक है. Then I band. So this I band is completely for the lighter chain or thin or actin filaments, thinner filaments. ठीक है, ये I band है. Then H zone. So this H zone is the central part of the A band. Central part of the A band. So इसमें खाली myosin ही रहेगा. Actin का overlap नहीं रहेगा. So it contains only the myosin filaments. एकदम मिडिल में आपको M लाइन रहेगा. So M का मतलब है मिडिल. Exactly in the middle. That means sarcomere में जो बीच में जो लाइन होता है, so that indicates the M line. ठीक है. So here contraction can be explained by the sliding filament theory. ठीक है. इसमें क्या होता है? Actin slides over myosin. So ये actin है, बीच में जो है myosin है. So actin, so the sliding will be actin slowly moves, slowly slides over the myosin. ठीक है. ये इस तरफ जाएगा और ये इस तरफ आएगा. ठीक है. So there will not be any change in the A band. The I band, जो भी I band है, वो shorten होगा, वो narrow होगा, वो कम होगा. So in the options it has given that the I band gets widened. वो widen नहीं होता है, बल्कि वो shorten होगा. ठीक है. And जो भी H zone है, as you slide each other, the H zone completely disappears. ठीक है. दोनों ऐसा आपस में आएगा, जो H zone disappear होगा. ठीक है. So this is the components of sarcomere. Second one, the site where myosin head bind to actin in skeletal muscles are covered by tropomyosin, troponin, calcium, none of the above. What is the answer here? What is like? Sarcomere is the repetitive structural unit present in the myofibrils. ठीक है. The site where myosin head binds to the actin in skeletal muscles are covered by the tropomyosin. Tropomyosin देखते हैं. So this is the thin filament. Just now we have seen the thin filament that we call as the actin filament. So if you see the structure of actin filament, so in the relaxed muscle, myosin is blocked from binding to actin because strands of tropomyosin, these strands of tropomyosin will cover the myosin binding sites on actin. So generally in the relaxed state, this tropomyosin will block, will inhibit the myosin binding site because these are covered by the tropomyosin. But when calcium ions bind to the troponin, so these troponin will undergo some conformational changes. That means there will be a change in the shape such that the tropomyosin will move away from this myosin binding site actin. ठीक है. So रिलैक्स स्टेट में ट्रोपोमायोसिन के वजह से मायोसिन यहाँ आके बाइंड नहीं करेगा. ठीक है. So that is due to tropomyosin. Okay. Again, so tropomyosin. What is the tropomyosin? What is the function of tropomyosin? Just now I explained in the previous question. Right. Yeah. So most of you are giving the right answer. So that is the B. So this tropomyosin will covers the myosin binding sites on the actin. So thereby it prevents the attachment of actin and myosin. The same explanation here. So this tropomyosin will bind to the myosin binding site. So such that myosin and troponin cannot bind together. So this mainly occurs in the relaxed state. Here. The fourth question is, which of the following triggers muscle contraction? So अभी तो इसमें कैल्शियम ही दिख रहा है. So you have to give the some specific answer. A, B, B, A. Yeah. So we'll see. So the calcium binding to the troponin C. The calcium binding to the troponin C will trigger the muscle contraction. So अलग अलग troponins होते हैं जैसे troponin T, troponin I, troponin C. So this troponin T binds the troponin components to the tropomyosin. Troponin I inhibits the interaction of myosin with actin, whereas troponin C contains the binding site for the calcium that initiates the interaction. So here T indicates the tropomyosin, I indicates, we can remember, inhibits, C indicates or denotes the calcium. C for calcium. तो ऐसे आप लोग याद करना है. ठीक है. Muscle structural protein. Which of the following is a muscle structural protein? So all of them, these are the previous competitive exams questions only. Yeah. So muscle structural proteins includes titin, nebulin, dystrophin. So all of the above. So all of these are the structural proteins. So generally muscle proteins can be contractile proteins. Different types of proteins will be there. Contractile proteins, regulatory proteins, structural proteins. So contractile proteins are actin and myosin. Regulatory proteins are tropomyosin and troponin. Structural proteins are titin, alpha actinin, myosin, nebulin, dystrophin. Contractile proteins will be helpful for the contraction of the muscle, whereas regulatory proteins that regulate the contractile proteins, whereas structural proteins will give the support, will give the structure, will give the uh, support to the muscle. ठीक है? आगे बढ़ते हैं. Heart muscles through which of the following is false regarding the heart muscle? True or except regarding the heart muscle. Everybody is saying answer C. देखते हैं. So heart muscle which acts as a syncytium. Syn मतलब together. So which acts as a functional syncytium. is सही है. Heart muscle has intercalated discs. सही है. In the intercalated disc, it has the gap junctions. ये भी सही है. This heart muscle or heart cell doesn't contain the multiple nuclei, so which contains only single nuclei. ठीक है. So ये गलत है. So the answer will be the B, not C. एक ही न्यूक्लियर होता है, मल्टीपल नहीं होगा. ठीक है. तो सिंगल न्यूक्लियस पर सेल इज ए फ्यूचर ऑफ मायोकार्डियम. एक ही न्यूक्लियस होगा. Whereas multiple nuclei per cell is a feature of the skeletal muscles. So if you see this structure, the layers, the outer one with the pericardium, in between, in the middle you have the muscle layer called as the myocardium. Innermost layer is the endocardium. So in the myocardium you have a specific type of cardiac muscle. So in the cardiac muscle there will be only single nucleus per cell be present, and you can also see the branching in the adjacent myocardial cell, and you can also see the intercalated discs. So due to the presence of generally this intercalated disc will contain the gap junctions through which the impulses are propagated very fastly, hence it acts like a syncytium. एक बार अगर एक सेल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो ना, पूरा का पूरा एक ही कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा. ठीक है. इसको इसलिए हम इसको बोलते हैं सिंसीशियम. ठीक है. Which of the following is a regulatory protein present in skeletal muscle but absent in the smooth muscle? skeletal muscle में present होगा, smooth muscles में absent होगा. बताओ. Yeah. So, which of the following is a regulatory protein present only in the skeletal muscle but absent in smooth muscle? Some are saying C and some are saying, just now we have seen. So, skeletal muscle में ट्रोपोनिन रहेगा, वो तो स्मूथ मसल्स में एब्सेंट रहेगा. स्मूथ मसल्स में कार्बोडुलिन रहेगा. ठीक है. So, regulatory protein present in the skeletal muscle troponin. इसके जगह स्मूथ मसल्स में कार्बोडुलिन रहेगा. Function will be same. Both of them skeletal regulatory proteins will bind to the calcium, but the just name of the protein is different. यहाँ पे troponin रहेगा और smooth muscles में calmodulin रहेगा. ठीक है. And here you have the key enzyme myosin light chain kinase MLCK. The calcium target will be the troponin C. Here same the regulatory protein calmodulin. Mechanism of contraction, calcium will bind to the troponin C that removes the inhibition on active. Here calcium will bind to the calmodulin which will act on the enzyme myosin light chain kinase where it can cause the myosin phosphorylation. Actin these contractile proteins, ये actin myosin contractile proteins है, वो दोनों में रहेगा, स्मूथ मसल्स में और स्केलेटल मसल दोनों ही रहेगा. ठीक है. The only difference is the regulatory protein. ठीक है. Which of the following statement is true for the periosteum of the bone? कौन सी स्टेटमेंट सही है पेरियोस्टियम के बारे में? अरे सभी को समझ में आना चाहिए ना. फनी. Yeah. So periosteum, everybody saying the all of the above, which protects the bone by assisting in the fracture repair, has a osteogenic cells which enable bone to grow in thickness, not in the length. This is also correct. It is composed of outer fibrous layer of dense connective tissue and an inner osteogenic layer that consists of the cells, which is also right one. So the answer is the all of the above. ठीक है. So periosteum, peri का मतलब है around, Osteo means bone cell, osteocyte. Okay, so it will present around the cell. That is the meaning of periosteum, which is a tough connective tissue sheath and which is associated with the blood supply that covers all the surface of the bone except for those capped with the articular cartilage. Generally, long bones at the point of joints you have the articular cartilage. मतलब जहां जहां पर articular cartilage नहीं रहेगा वहीं पे periosteum present होगा. ठीक है? And which serves as a site of attachment for the ligaments as well as for the tendons. The periosteum composed of the दो layers होते हैं. outer का fibrous layer रहेगा and inner का osteogenic layer रहेगा, which also protects the bone, assists in the fracture repair, and which also nourishes the bone tissue. All of these are functions of the periosteum. ठीक है? Yeah. A typical long bone consists of the following parts except yeah. So all of them are giving the right answer. B option, B option. सही है. So long bones, typical long bone will contain the diaphysis, will contain the epiphysis. Just now seen. It also contains the periosteum. So it doesn't have a the part doesn't contain the external. It cannot be seen. The trabeculae. So generally, the trabeculae is a structural and functional unit of the spongy bone. Okay? So if you see the structure of a bone, you have the edges, the distal part to contain the epiphysis. ये distal epiphysis है, ये proximal epiphysis है, and between जो body होता है, that is the diaphysis. जहां पर diaphysis, epiphysis join होते हैं, meet होते हैं, that we call as the metaphysis. ठीक है? And at the epiphysis you have the articular cartilage. So wherever there will not be articular cartilage, you have the periosteum. Okay? So here in the diaphysis there will be a cavity. That cavity we call as the medullary cavity, which contains the yellow bone marrow. And this is the compact bone, and this is the spongy bone. Okay? Where the spongy bone can contain red yellow bone marrow. So this spongy bone contains the trabeculae. Okay? Yeah. Which of the following is true for bone tissue cell differentiation and maturation? Yeah. So everybody is giving right answer here. So osteogenic will give us the osteoblasts that will differentiate into the osteocytes. Even if you know the meaning of these words, osteo मतलब होता है bone, genic means produce, gives rise to, genesis. ठीक है? So that will give, so this will produce and will give rise to the osteocytes. ठीक है? Blast मतलब immature cells को हम blasts बोलते हैं. ठीक है, जो फुल्ली तरह का मैच्योर नहीं होगा, इमेच्योर को ब्लास्ट सेल्स बोलते हैं. साइट्स मतलब सेल्स, दीज आर द कंप्लीट मैच्योर सेल्स, ऑस्टियोसाइट्स. सो ऑस्टियोजेनिक, ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट्स, देन ऑस्टियोसाइट्स. ठीक है, the same thing here. So this osteogenic, or you can also say osteoprogenitor, then osteoblasts, uh, which differentiated into the osteocyte. There will be another type of cells that we call as the osteoclasts. Okay. So the meaning of clast is breakdown. So that will break down the bone extracellular matrix. It will break down the bone extracellular. So this is generally the osteoclast will function in the bone resorption. Bone resorption means there is a breakdown of the extracellular matrix in the bone. So this is normal physiological phenomenon, uh, modeling of the bone that occurs in the normal physiology. ठीक है, हमेशा बोन का एक्स्ट्रासेलुलर मैट्रिक्स सिंथेसाइज होता है, कुछ समय के बाद ब्रेक डाउन होता है. सो दिस इज पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ द synthesis of new cells. At the same time, they will break down the extracellular matrix. So that is done by the osteoclasts. You can also see here the ruffled body, which contains various enzymes that will break down the extracellular matrix. ठीक है? Yes, yes. The monocytes only will form the osteoclasts. ठीक है? ये recent question है. The appendicular skeleton in an adult consists of how many bones? ठीक है? So the appendicular skeleton, the total bones present in the adult is 206. Among these, the appendicular skeleton will consist of the 126, and the remaining 80 bones are present in the axial skeleton. Okay? So that will be the appendicular skeleton, and axial skeleton will be there. So this is the skeleton. You can see here the skeleton. So जो भी center में रहेगा, that we call as the axial skeleton, which contains the 80 bones. और जो भी इसको hang होगा, ठीक है, जैसे ये वाला और ये वाला, ठीक है, these are the appendicular skeleton, which consists of the 126 bones. दिख रहा है skeleton? जो भी बीच में होगा, जो भी सेंट्रल एक्सिस में होगा, उसी को हम कहते हैं एक्सियल स्केलेटन. So whichever will hang to the axial skeleton, हम इसको appendicular skeleton बोलते हैं. ठीक है. So wherever required, we explain the concepts with the help of models. ठीक है, live models. ठीक है. So this is the axial skeleton which contains 80, appendicular skeleton 126. So total 206 bones. So you need to remember the at least the names of the bones. Names of the bones and their corresponding numbers. कितने bones होंगे. ठीक है. The total number of facial bones in the human adult is facial bones कितने होते हैं. Yeah. So here is the 14. 14 will be the facial bones. Again the same. So you have in the face, you have the 14 number. Which one among the following is the largest hip bone? Not the largest bone, but largest hip bone. हिप में अलग अलग बोन्स होते हैं, उसमें से सबसे लार्जेस्ट कौन से होता है. Right? So it is the ilium. The pelvic, or we call as the hip girdle. Pelvic girdle which consists of the two innominate bones या hip bones, उसी को हम coxal bones कहते हैं या pelvic bones कहते हैं. ठीक है. And these hip bones unite anteriorly at a joint called as the pubic symphysis. So these hip bones are joined together at the joint called as the pubic symphysis. But in the children, in the newborn, this hip bone, the individual hip bone is not a single bone. Okay. So which consists of the three bones. Okay. Ilium, ischium and pubis. Among these three, the ilium is the largest one. But later on, in the childhood, as you grow older, these bones will fuse together into a single hip bone. ठीक है. न्यू बॉर्न में ये अलग अलग होता है तीन, but as you grow old, they fuse together to form a single coxal bone या single pelvic bone or hip bone. Yeah. A flat bone among the following is, ये भी रिसेंट का DI का क्वेश्चन है. A flat bone among the following is. Yeah. So the flat bone is the sternum. So generally, the bones can be classified based on their length. लॉन्ग बोन्स होते हैं, शॉर्ट बोन्स होते हैं, फ्लैट होगा, इरेगुलर होगा या सीसामॉइड होगा. ठीक है. सो लॉन्ग बोन्स, एज द नेम इंडिकेट्स, लेंथ विड्थ से लॉन्ग होता है, लंबा होगा. एग्जांपल्स फीमर, टिबिया, फिबुला, ह्यूमरस एक्सेट्रा. देन शॉर्ट बोन्स, these bones are comparatively shorter in length. Okay. Examples: wrist bones, carpals, या bones of the foot, tarsals. Flat bones, these are the thin bones. So these bones will be available in areas that require the extensive muscle attachment to protect the vital organs. Like जो अभी हमें क्वेश्चन में दिया है, sternum, ribs, cranial bones. So all of them are the flat bones. ठीक है. So these are, you can see here, the sternal bone. It looks like a very flat one. ठीक है, यहाँ दिख रहा है ना, the sternum, to which all the ribs are attached. Okay. Yeah. Then irregular bones. So because the shape is not regular, hence they call as irregular, like vertebrae, ossicles, and some skull bones. The last is a sesamoid bone, because the bone looks like a sesame seed. Okay. So hence the name sesamoid bone. The best example is the patella, या kneecap. Kneecap or patella is an example of sesamoid bone. Which contractile protein of skeletal muscle exhibits ATPase activity? Which contractile protein of skeletal muscle has exhibit ATPase activity? So the name already have given the hint, contractile protein. So contractile protein अगर होना है तो एक्टिन होना चाहिए या तो मायोसिन होना चाहिए. ठीक है. The answer here is the myosin. So myosin में दो पार्ट रहेगा, एक मायोसिन टेल एंड द मायोसिन हेड. हेड विल बी होगा, टेल विल होगा. सो इन द मायोसिन हेड you have the two binding sites. One is for actin binding site, the other is for the ATP binding site. So this ATP binding site is function as an ATPase. So it's an enzyme that hydrolyzes the ATP to generate the energy, because energy is required during the muscle contraction. That is provided by the ATPase, which is present in the myosin. So this is the structure of myosin. Clear? And many a times when we are discussing the normal physiology classes, so we will be whenever required, as I told you, we will be explaining uh, with the help of the मॉडल्स एज यू कैन सी हियर जब भी अगर कोई जरूरत होगा ना हम इस मॉडल के साथ क्लास को एक्सप्लेन करेंगे ठीक है सो ऑलरेडी आई हैव रिमूव्ड ऑल द पार्ट्स हियर so during the explanation I have removed all the parts here okay so all parts will be intact whenever required slowly we will remove one by one such that I can show you the internal anatomy of the human body ठीक है So with these models, this will be very much helpful for understanding the some real-time situations. You can see the livers, the intestines, so everything have been removed. ठीक है? ठीक है पुष्पधन सर I will definitely upload the PDF notes after my class. ठीक है? So these are the different batches. Brahmastra droppers 2026, Brahmastra 2026, Brahmastra 2027, Brahmastra 2028, and Brahmastra 2029. So as per your semester, you can join in our. Oh, sorry. So these are the different batches as of now available in our classes. So as per convenience, you can join in any one of the batch. So thank you. If you have any doubts, please let me know. और कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ दीजिए. Thank you all. Good night. हमारा बुक्स में अभी फ्रीडम ऑफर भी चल रहा है दोज हु वांट टू बाय बुक्स वेरी स्टैंडर्ड वेरी हेल्पफुल बुक्स please purchase the books it will be in set of 5 if you also want to buy the NIPER it includes one more set that's so it includes total 6 sets so the offer ends tomorrow so anybody wants to buy the books please you can buy हाँ अच्छा तो वो माइक चार्जिंग नहीं हो रहा था ना इसलिए मैं पुराना माइक यूज कर रहा हूँ तो चार्जिंग नहीं हो रहा है।